There have been some Tom Brady rumors going around that he was worn out by Josh McDaniels and kind of phased out of the offense as they move towards a more run-oriented offensive game plan, kind of like you saw in the Super Bowl against the Rams, where they only put up 13 points, and it was a pretty dull offensive game.
Now, Brady denied this on Twitter. He denied it on Twitter. It doesn't matter what social media platform, he denied it anyways. So Brady denied this. Do I think that there's any truth to this? I think so.
Possible.
I think McDaniels is friends with Brady, and I think they get along.
I don't think he would have blatantly done it. I think he was just trying to work with what he had.
I mean, Brady's getting older, and with older age, he's losing arm strength. And with what the Patriots are doing, they were doing more checkdowns and not a lot of stuff down the field, which Brady wanted to do. Brady's always throwing the ball away, and he just wasn't happy with what the offense was doing. And I think some of that is McDaniels, but I think most of that is just the roster building at the same time, because Belichick wasn't getting him any weapons at all, really. Last year he got Mohamed Sanu, and that was about it in terms of getting extra weapons. So Brady really wasn't getting much at all. And I think he's still friends with McDaniels, but him going to Tampa Bay shows kind of that disconnect between him and McDaniels at the same time, because McDaniels is more of a check down, kind of work your way down the field type of guy, whereas Bruce Arians, you saw with Jameis Winston, and he said he's going to run the same offense this year, so Brady's going to be running a high-level gunslinging type of offense, just like that air raid thing that Arians likes to do. We saw Jameis throw like 50 times a game last year, and hopefully he'll have a bit more of a running game. But you see, it's a total polar opposite, Arians and McDaniels, and you can see that Brady wanted some change, and he got a lot of changes in that he's going to have more control in Tampa Bay. It's more loose, and he also has a different type of offense that I think he wants to run.
You do look at, though, obviously Brady doesn't really apply to aging in the NFL because he's ridiculous and a freak of nature. But at the same time, you don't want him throwing like 50 times a game like you had Jameis throwing, because you're going to wear down his arm, and you want him to be able to last into the postseason, because that's where it's going to matter.
Yeah, I think Jameis, it showed even with him. He's a super young player. He has a lot of potential despite his somewhat low numbers, high numbers of interceptions and inconsistencies. But you can see that he has athleticism. And
he has a lot of potential under the right coach.
Yeah, if he can clean up his mistakes, he has a lot of potential. But Brady, he has good decision making. His arm's a little weaker than it was, and if you're running that type of offense with a 43-year-old, I don't think that's ever really been done. I mean, Breeze has kind of come close. He's not as old. Breeze runs somewhat of a downfield offense, more than
kind of in between. It's in between the Patriots and the Bucs.
Yeah, but he also has check downs to Kamara, and he has that to kind of shield him at the same time. So, it's kind of similar. But I think Brady's going to have a tough time adapting to the offense, as all quarterbacks would when they change to such a drastically different offense. Even if you're just going to another team, you're going to have some struggles because you don't know the team yet. You don't know the coaching. You don't know all this. And Brady's been in the same system for ages. So I think he can adapt. I don't think he's necessarily a system quarterback. I think he can adapt. I just think he's going to have some struggles early on. And once we get into that back half of the season, once he gets that bye late in the season and he's getting adapted to the offense and the weapons around him, I think it will be smooth sailing from then on. But I think the start of the season, we're going to see some struggle from Brady, at least.
He'll still be warming into what his options are, trying to get to know his different receivers, how to lead them and all that. Obviously, Gronk will still be one of his favorite targets, but usually you saw with the Patriots, some of the younger ones, and Philip Dorsett when they had him too. It took a few weeks for Brady to kind of learn Well, I think it was more of the receivers learning what Brady wanted than Brady learning what the receivers do. Because Brady has a very high standard of his receivers knowing what they're doing and their routes and stuff like that.
And you could see, just look at last year. Last year, Brady was getting very agitated at Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry, and you can see that on the field because they're young and they necessarily didn't know. They weren't doing what Brady wanted them to do. Yeah. And he has a short temper towards people doing things that he doesn't want to do. So if Brady can't get used to you as a wide receiver immediately, it's going to be really tough for him to get used to you later. So he needs his wide receivers to be in there like immediately, like really fast. So I think Evans and Godwin can really get used to that. I mean, Gronk, obviously, already used to Brady.
Yeah.
So we have that. But I don't think he's going to have a ton of problems. I just think early on in the season, it's going to be tough for him. Just the drastic change between Arians and McDaniels is going to be really tough for him.